Hey, good evening, everybody. Jay Johnson, J2 Servant Leadership. Just thought I'd do a quick check-in. It's heading on about 8 o'clock Central Time on the 10th, and just had a couple minutes before I go do a little more work on a course I'm building, and thought it might be one last opportunity just to check in and see how everybody's doing. You know what I really like about not that there's a lot to like about the environment we're in, and I realize there's a lot of people that are hurting and facing a lot of hardships, and of course there's those that have been impacted directly by the virus, and then there's some that have lost their lives, and more than some, but I'm talking about some that I know in my circles and in some friend circles. So I'm not trying to minimize that at all, but I was going to say it sure seems like we're coming together. How isolation is making us come together. Like a good friend of mine was broadcasting from her driveway earlier tonight, one of her neighbors doing a concert across the street, got the amp, the speakers out there, he's singing, pretty incredible. And then she scans and looks up and down the road, and people are outside in their lawn chairs, and they're listening to their neighbors sing. And just it's interesting how all of this seems to be kind of pulling us together and finding other ways for us to connect that maybe we had gotten away from. So I don't generally just pop in here just to ramble, so I was thinking I ought to have something to share with you of interest in, and I thought I'd pose the question, how committed are you? And I know that where I'm at right now, I'm really committed to the things that I'm doing. The other day I shared in one of these Facebook lives, I was talking about how I ended up doing what I'm doing now. Hey, good evening, Curtis. I finally got this thing wickered where you're showing up on my main screen and I don't have to look somewhere else to see you. It's good to see you, sir. I was sharing that when I retired from active duty service in 2010, I took a government civil servant job, and it was right in my wheelhouse. It was something I'm good at, working with people that that I love, and who similar values as me. Hey, Heather. And but I was woefully unhappy in that job, and it was about 4 years into that I started doing this reflective soul searching, in which I uncovered how much I really enjoy coaching and mentoring and training and helping people be a better version of themselves. And when I finally dropped my notice and said, I'm going to go stand up my own business and go do this. And look, if I haven't said this to you before, I mean, I never had an entrepreneurial bone in my body until one day I did. But I gave my notice at that government civil servant job and said, hey, I'm going to tender notice, and I'm going to go do something else for a living, and I'm going to go stand up my own business. And, some of these people that I said, who I know loved me and liked me and were in the fight with me, a few of them said as I was leaving, you'll be back. And I looked them in the eye and I said, I promise you I won't. And I kind of, today I tell people I followed the Cortez model. I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but it's alleged, rumored, that when Cortez arrived in the New World, he turned to his men and he said, scuttle the ships, meaning burn them, sink them. He said, scuttle them, because there's no going back. There's only one way forward. We're going to make this work, or we're not going to put our effort towards it. And that's exactly the way that I treated me stepping out to stand up this business. I said, I'm going to play all in. I'm going to go all out. I'm going to get outside my comfort zone. I'm going to learn as much as I can. I'm going to broaden my horizons, grab up some skill sets, if I didn't already have them in my repertoire. And I'm going to learn these things, and they're going to be things that people need. And so I was really selective in the things that I brought on, and I've been able to leverage every single one of those. But being an entrepreneur isn't easy. So some of you watching tonight may very much be entrepreneurs, may very much be seeking to stand up, create your own speaking, coaching, training business, consulting business. And if you've not done that before, I just want you to know you better be willing to put in some sweat equity. You better be willing to put some time tears, energy behind all this thing. Hey, Frank Clark, good to see you, man. He even gave me a boomer sooner, and he said, "Go Irish." Frank and I went to watch a college football game together, OU Notre Dame up in Norman, Oklahoma. Frank, I bet it's been 7 years, maybe, if not more than that now, right? But we had such a good time. His team won. I often joke with my friends and say the bad guys won. They won that time. We repaid them the following year, I think. But I know I'm getting off track too. You just got to hear this. Frank and I are walking around campus, and Frank looks over, underneath like this tent area set up, people gathered, and he said, "Hey, man, that looks like Toby Keith." I said, "That's Toby Keith. He's he's here at all the OU games." And Toby Keith was standing with Brian Bosworth, a former OU linebacker, and so we go over to him, to see if we can get our picture. And I think I said something corny like, "Hey, Mr. Keith, would you mind taking would you mind taking a photo with a couple Air Force vets?" And he said, "Hell yeah." And so he said, "Boz, get over here." And Brian Bosworth was chewing on a rib. He says, "I'm eating, man." And Toby Keith said, "Put that damn rib down, son." Frank, has a good time, man. I had a good time with you. It's so good to see you. I know we haven't talked in a while, man. I hope you're well. But, I think that people the entrepreneurs, if you wake up one day with an entrepreneurial bone like I did, and you decide you're going to go do something new, I just need you to understand it takes work. These customers and clients don't fall from the sky. You've got to be really intentional about going out there and creating brand awareness around who you are, cultivating relationships. And it's really difficult to cultivate a relationship when you make it all about you. I'm just going to let that hang for a minute. A few seconds. I can't tell how many times I've gone out just to interact with other people, and they come up to me and we're just meeting, and they shove their business card in my hand, and they're fired up. I love people who are passionate about what they do, but they pour out, everything about who they are and say, "I hope we can get together. I'd love for you to, do business with me. I'd love to show you what I've got." And they never once asked me, showed any genuine concern about what I did, who I was. Certainly didn't ask me if I had a need for their product. Think I did business with them? Yeah, you know the answer to that. It doesn't happen. So look, if you're an entrepreneur and you're wanting to go out there and cultivate a business, you better first understand something that's critical to the process. It's not about you. I mean, it is, right? It is, because you're trying to build something, but you would better uncover a need. You would better ask questions and be able to mine out what somebody has, need for. And then if you're the one to meet that need, that's beautiful. In fact, a lot of the people I talk with who are entrepreneurs, one of the areas they struggle with most is sales. And I've got sales training that I lead people through, but they struggle with sales. And when I ask them, what's the hang up with sales? Oftentimes I get, well, I don't like rejection. Okay, I get it. What's your conversion success rate if you don't ask, if you don't have a sales conversation at all? How's that for a rejection? I don't like being told no either, but one way to increase sales conversion is to not go pushing a product without uncovering whether or not they have a need. So, when I go out in these circles, I really love just to get to meet people and find out who they are and what they're doing. And here's an example, I'm like, "So you're in retail? That's awesome. How long have you been in retail?" Well, it's a while, right? That's a good while. What do you love about what you do? And just let them unpack. They'll share with you the things they like. And then I love to follow up that one with, "Hey, what do you find challenging about what you do?" And here's where you better be tuned in and listening intently, because people share pain. They'll let you know where there's struggle in their day-to-day kind of operation of whatever industry they're in. And if you're truly listening intently, you're going to hear some opportunities that maybe you can assist them. And then it doesn't feel like a sales process. Does that make sense? I mean, this is the way we operate with friends and family. If a friend or family member expresses a need and we know we can meet it, we're going to offer, something to them to help them. We don't ever worry about rejection. They have a need and we're trying to help someone we care about. That same dynamic, if you carry that into the sales process, will serve you well, right? And what if you can't directly meet the need, but you know somebody who can? So since my friend Frank has popped in here tonight, what if I personally can't help him, but what if I know Frank can? Do you think it's still worth my time to say to this person I'm just meeting and having a conversation with? So if I hear you right, it sounds like you need help or you're looking for someone maybe to help you develop a new skill or to fill this gap. And I happen to know somebody who can do that. Would you mind if I make an introduction? What do you think they're going to take away from that? Man, I'm going to try to hook the two of them up. And if you do that enough times, just like if you ask questions and uncover a need that you can assist with, if you serve, you meet a need, the law of reciprocity will kick in. They're more likely to think of you when they need something in the future. And when there's an opportunity for them to return the favor, I really believe this, everybody. Most people are going to want to return the favor. And that's where it gets reciprocated back to you. Hey, Jay, this is, I'm just going to pull out a name. This is Sally. We met several months ago at this event, and you were asking questions about what I do, and I shared with you a few areas where I struggled, and you introduced me to Frank. Man, he really helped me out, and I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate it. Hey, we've got a function coming up, Jay, and we're just looking for an outside speaker to come in and maybe breathe some life into our team. Is that something you'd be interested in talking about doing? I'm your Huckleberry, right? A lot of times, even groups and circles, and someone comes up to me and they are actually making it about me, as I hope I'm making it about them. They may say something like, "Hey, Jay, what do you do for a living?" And I often respond this way before I expand or expound on it. I usually look at them and I say, "I light people on fire." That's really what I feel like I do. I'm amazed at how many people I know who are just kind of walking zombies. I mean, you'll hear people say, "I can't stand the job that I do." I've even asked some of them, "Then why do you do it?" "Well, I've just been doing it so long, I can't imagine doing anything else." Or, "Well, I'm kind of up there in years, Jay, and I just can't imagine starting over." You know what I can't imagine? I can't imagine wasting this precious thing called life that we only get one go at, and spending every second of my working day doing something that I loathe, that doesn't fulfill me. That I don't understand that. I mean, I've been at conferences, one of them that I lead, I have the license for. I do a large leadership event every October. And this past year, we had 275 people in the room across all of the different demographics, right? For-profit, nonprofit. We had government in the room, education in the room. I mean, you name it. Financial industry, professionals were in the room. It's a really good mix. And this will be year 6 coming up that I've done this event. And I've got others that help me do this event. But I think 3 years ago, this is seminal in my mind. At the end of the event, we're kind of hanging around talking to people that are just meandering out. They're not in a rush to go do whatever's next on their plate. And it's about a 2/3 day. We end about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And a government civilian came up to me that I really don't know, but there was a little familiarity. Maybe we had been in some similar circles at one point. And this individual said, "Jay, I'd love for you to, I want to tell you, I would love to do what you do." And I'm like, "That's awesome, man. Let's talk about it. I'll be happy to talk about what I do." "No, I can't do it." And I'm like, "Wait, you just said you would love to do it." "Yeah, but Jay, I just can't imagine branching out there and trying to do something like that. I fear failure." Well, nothing like letting the fear of failure keep you in a place that means you continue to do something with your waking days that you don't enjoy. I'm not going to describe that as failure, but he certainly failing to pursue what he wants. So I don't know. I don't get that. And so for me, when I chose to walk away from government service, I said it's one way I'm going to succeed. I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed. Now, when I say whatever it takes, that doesn't mean something illegal, immoral, unethical. That's not who I am. I think people who know me, my character's in check. And I'm not going to do any of those things to try to get by on someone else just to be successful. But I knew that I was going to put the work in. I knew I was going to do everything within my power. And I've done that. And I've got other people who are in the similar industry as I am, some of them local areas, some of them other places in the States. And I've had some of them reach out to me and ask the question. And this is flattering, and I don't mean it boastful. In fact, I'm in a community where we say this, what I'm about to say to you, we say this a lot. I'm not saying this to impress you. I'm saying this to impress upon you. But they will call me and they'll say, Jay, it just seems like you're doing something different than I am, because I'm not yielding the kind of success you are. And I'm like, oh, well, let's talk about what you're doing. And what really comes down to is they rarely get out of the house. It's kind of tough to run a business in a relationship industry. And I think a lot of professions and industries are relationship based. Kind of tough to be successful if you're not out there building relationships and cultivating. And I may have shared this with some of you over the course of the last few Facebook Lives I've been doing. I'm amazed at how many people join an organization that's intended to help them grow as a business, like a referral organization, a networking organization, a chamber of commerce. And I have members that have joined one of those and they come back to me and say, oh, Jay, I get nothing from it. It's done nothing for me. I just feel like I threw my money away. And I'm like, really? Because I'm in a referral organization. I belong to 3 chambers of commerce, and I find every one of them huge value adds to me in my business. But then they don't like the conversation that I have, because I tell them, you think you write a check and hand it over, that they're now indebted to you in some way. You're writing a check to gain access to all the member services and opportunities that come with it. But at the end of the day, you still have to do the work. So for me, inside of every one of the 3 chambers that I have the privilege to be a member of, that I pay to be a member of, I serve. I've gone in there and asked every one of those chamber presidents, hey, where do you have need? Where could you best use my background, my expertise? And so in one, I serve on a military affairs committee. On another one, I serve in their awards gala. I MC their events and do some extra things on the side for them, doing different things. And then another one, I have the privilege of serving as a mentor to a young professionals group. So I didn't just write a check and expect that they were just then going to start throwing business at me, particularly when I first joined and they didn't know me. So again, the inference is you just don't write a check and all of a sudden someone has trust in you. Trust is built, trust is earned. And the best way to earn trust is to serve. So there's nothing beneath me. Roll up the sleeves, get in there. You need me to sweep a floor before you do your event? I'll come in and sweep up the floor beforehand. And when you serve others enough, again, the law of reciprocity kicks in. They're going to think of you, and it's going to increase opportunity. And those have been big things in my business. And then the other thing I constantly get, I have people that say, Jay, yeah, but you don't understand. Hey, Mignon, they'll say, Jay, but you're a social butterfly, man. I'm not a social butterfly. You ready for this? I'm really not. I am a high I personality in DISC, like off the charts. And so, yes, I like the spotlight. I like to talk, if you haven't noticed. I like to have fun. I don't want really rigid structure. All that's true. But I am a pretty private person. You put me in a room, I'll work a room. I'll work a room not from nefarious purposes or reasons. My friend Heather says, I can say firsthand, he does what he says. I'll work a room because I love people. I love meeting people and hearing their stories and learning about them. I think we can learn from everyone. But when I'm at home in my castle, I'm a really private person. I'm really comfortable sitting on a sofa with a book, or in my thoughts and a notepad and a pen. I'm very introspective, and so even if you're more of a introverted or reserved type personality, it's okay. Be you. But if you want to build a business like this, a relationship business, you better get out of the house. And you look, Frank just put it, he said you recharge your batteries by being with family. And yeah, I mean, just having some downtime, alone time, it can be taxing, right, Frank? It can wear you out being in a room where there's just a ton of ambient noise and people and movement. And I mean, that can wear me out too. But I do love people, so people will see me work a room, but it's okay. Even if you're introverted and reserved, you've got to find a way to get outside that comfort zone. You got to find a way to be able to assimilate into some of these tighter knit groups. I hear people sometimes say, you don't understand, that organization is so cliquish, I can't get in. I'll get in. I don't know that it has much to do with my personality. I'm going in, right? I'm going to insert myself into the conversation somewhere, somehow. It's amazing to me, even the people that say they're really introverted, reserved, I don't like to talk, ask them about their family. If they have grandkids, ask them about their grandkids. It's pretty amazing is they'll open up and light up and talk then. And I often try to say to them, what would it look like if you could take that part of you when you're talking about loved ones and apply that in these little moments where you're out inside these different circles and groups? It's pretty incredible. It's a learned skill. I said to somebody the other day, I think on one of these Facebook Lives, hey, Deanna, she said, or dogs. I had the privilege of speaking at a pet sitters conference here in the Schertz, Texas area. Gosh, I guess it's already been 5 or 6 weeks, Deanna. It doesn't even seem possible, but amazing group of people, and many of them brought their 4-legged kids. The dogs were in the room. Different energy, love pets, different energy in the room. One of the funnest groups, incredible groups of professionals, people who are out there doing some really incredible things. I mean, I was blown away, and I just love sitting in the room and learning from them. But so Deanna's point when she says, or dogs, get people talking about their pets. Someone who's introverted, reserved, all of a sudden you talk about their beloved Fido, and boop, they light up and they'll just talk. Let me show you pictures, right? They pull out their phone and they're going to show you pictures of their 4-legged kiddos. There's things we do where we open up, where we do have that comfort level. And all I'm asking each of you to consider, even if you're not trying to do, what I'm doing, even if you're not a speaker, trainer, or coach, I just promise you these same skills work in any situation, quite frankly. It's not about you. Ask good questions, listen for need, assist people where they need, but you've got to uncover that stuff, and you can't do that sitting on the sofa. You can't do that by putting a Facebook post out and say, hey, anyone need me? Nope. That's not going to work. They got to feel your heart. John Maxwell's a mentor of mine, and he's famous for saying that you've got to touch a heart before you ever ask for a hand. Touch a heart. Man, if you will just go out there and give someone your full attention and then listen to them, I tell most people you'll be a drug in their life, because most people are starved for attention. You know why? Because we're too busy navigating the world like this. Someone's directly in front of us teaching. And I've been guilty. Look, if I was to be perfectly honest with you, I would say 7 years ago, 8 years ago, my amazing daughter, she's 14 now, but my amazing daughter then would want to come talk to me, and I'd just be, yep. How heartbreaking is that? So I made a pledge to myself, that goes down. She's got my full attention. If I was on the laptop closed, she's got my full attention. Reading the book closes, sets it down, you've got my full attention. When you give somebody your full attention, you're truly actively listening to them and engaging them in conversation. You will become a drug to them, because that's not what most people get out there. out in the world. All of us right now are like, well, none of us are getting that in the world right now, except through this medium, Jay. This is what we're having to do to get some kind of interaction. I know, and it's kind of good, right? Just think how fun it's going to be when some of us who have only met through this are in a room together, down the road. Hopefully not long down the road. Just think how cool it'll be, man. It's going to be like we've known each other for a while, and we do know each other. So I don't know. I was getting ready to do some coursework tonight. I said I'm building an online course, and I just thought before I really put my energy back to that, I'm just going to pop in and say hello and see what's happening, see if I could add value. I hope I've added some kind of value. If you're going to make a decision, commit to it fully and go all in. You're not going to be successful if you've got one leg on one side of the fence and another leg on the other. It's just not going to happen. So you're either going to go for it or you're going to stay where you're at, and then you don't get to complain about it. Because to complain about something you had control over and opted not to do, you get to own that. Yeah, Frank said risk versus rewards in business and life, and in family and value. It's true, Frank, right? It is true. Hey, Steve, just now recognized or just now saw that you were out there. But yeah, I think it's 100% true. And here's the last thing I'll leave you with, right? Because I have people that say, hey, Jay, I think I need your coaching services. And I'll be like, well, okay, let's get together and talk. And we'll have a conversation. And look, I think it's a two-way street. They're trying to determine if I'm the right one to assist them. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm trying to determine if I even want to work with them. I tell most people I only carry about 5 coaching clients at one time. I could take on more than that. I just don't. And the reason I don't is because I find that most people they don't really know what they want, or they're not really fully committed. Hey, I need you. And then we get together, we have a conversation, and that conversation may be complimentary, right? I'm giving them my time. My time is how I earn my living, everybody. It's not like I've had somebody say this to me, since I'm a speaker, I get paid when I go out and speak. I've had somebody say, but Jay, I don't understand why you're charging this money when we had police chief, whoever, or the mayor come down and speak to us. I'll tell you why, because police chief, whoever, has a paycheck coming from the city for something different. So when he go out and speaks or she speaks, they're still able to make a living. The mayor paid by the city, able to make most times, not always, I recognize, but able to make a living. Speaking is how I make my living. And you're not getting somebody off the street. You're getting a professional. You're getting somebody who has honed their craft, has really put a lot of time and thought into building a message that's going to impact the group that you're asking me to come in and speak to. I'm not going to wing it. There's going to be a lot of front end work. There's going to be a lot of conversation between us. I'm going to get it ready. And then I'm going to come in and blow doors off. I'm serious. I'm going to come in and light the room on fire, because that's what I want to do for you. That's what I believe you're hiring me to do. So yeah, time's money. So sometimes someone will say, Jay, I'd like to talk to you about coaching me, and I'll give of my time, an hour and a half sometimes, no cost. Let's just get together and talk. And in that conversation, they may have said a few things, and I'll say, hey, this is, based on what you said, I want to ask you to do something, some outside work. Will you consider this? And I say, I'd like you to do this, and then come back and share that with me. Okay, Jay. Crickets. They don't go do the work. But if I said inside that complimentary session, hey, I'm willing to do this for you too, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, can I have that too? No, not until you do the work. You're the one that said you think you need me. And I think everybody can benefit from coaching. I'm just going to be clear. There's a retired 2-star general in the local San Antonio area that I've sat and had a very in-depth conversation with about coaching. He said, Jay, I need you. Isn't that interesting? Somebody really accomplished, highly educated, has been responsible for a lot of things, recognizes the need still to have a coach. but I won't work with just anybody because most people aren't willing to put in the work. So I use it kind of as a litmus test to find out what they're willing to do. And if they can't even do something simple that I've asked them from a complimentary session, if you will, there's no way I'm going to work for them as a coach moving forward. You know, coaching's a two-way street. You're going to get a coach that's going to come alongside you and stretch you and challenge you and be objective and speak real truth to you, which is not what the majority of the world does. The majority of the world placates us. Hey, Gordon, the majority of the world's going to tell us what they think we want to hear. The majority of the world doesn't really tell us what we really need to hear. But that's not a role of a coach, right? A coach should be a mirror reflecting back to you what's really there. We see ourselves as we want to be seen, but we don't always see ourselves as we really are. It's beneficial. I love the people in my life who are willing to push on me and say, hey, you know, Jay, when you said this, it's not exactly what I saw or heard myself. Interesting. Let's talk about that, right? Because I want to improve. Even small incremental improvements to me are huge at the end of the day, particularly in the way that I deliver. So this is what I'll leave you with, right? You know, this is how I end most conversations when someone's talking to me about coaching. I'll look them in the eye and I'll say, I don't coach people who play small. I don't coach people who play small. If you've got big dreams and you want someone to push you and you want to achieve new heights, you want to have your best year ever, I'm your Huckleberry. I'd love to get together and talk with you, but you're going to do the work, right? I said the other day on a Facebook Live, it doesn't behoove anyone to have a coach that does the work for them. That makes you dependent on the coach. I don't want you dependent on me. What I really want you to do is to get the tumblers to line up in place where it unlocks, open doors, and you've now had a higher increased awareness where you're able to go out and do for you. That will make you feel like you've never felt, and it'll make you realize it was there all along. You just needed someone to kind of help you wicker it through. Yeah, Frank posted, you can only help those willing to help themselves. Hey, Paul Martinelli. Yeah, we do, don't we? We've got to do the work. Paul is a mentor to me and has made me do the work. I've never gotten on a call with Paul and come in with excuses where he let that hang out in the air. He's not going to let me make an excuse. And so I'm not going to do that for anyone either, right? That's not being a good steward of them. And so, yeah, Paul just posted independence equals freedom. Amen to that, Paul. I posted to Paul this morning. He's got he's got an amazing backyard. Y'all should join me. I'll have to make sure I get you plugged in. He lives in Florida, and his backyard is the ocean. And every morning we can wake up and watch the sun rising because he takes it out. He takes his phone or laptop. You know, he's taking some device out there and putting it out on his deck, and we watch the waves come in every morning. We watch the sunrise. But this morning I was doing that with Paul and about, I don't know, Paul, what do you think? 600 of our closest friends or something. And I just said to Paul in a text, you've profoundly and positively impacted my life. And that's all true, Paul. But Paul didn't do the work for me. Jay Johnson had to do the work. And Jay Johnson's still doing the work and will be tomorrow and will be until the day that I'm called home, right? Because to me, sitting stagnant, sitting on my hands, resting on my laurels doesn't work for me. And so anybody who's going to talk to me about coaching or coming alongside them and trying to help them achieve their dreams, I'm not going to let them rest or sit like that either. And then if they do, we won't be connected very long. I mean, we'll be friends, right? I'm not talking about casting somebody out of my life. I just think we can use our time better, right? If they're not willing to do the work, you go do what you're doing, and I'm going to go find somebody who's hungry, as Les Brown would say. I'm going to go find somebody who has the desire for something so strong that they're going to go after it, unrelenting. I want to be affiliated with people like that, because I got to tell you, when you hear me say that I love lighting people on fire, it lights me on fire when I see people achieving their dream and knowing that I may have played just a little bitty piece of that. To me, that's the doggone coolest thing. And anyway, look, I said I was just popping on real quick to say hi, and we're 35 minutes in. I'm going to close this thing out, everybody. But look, it's Good Friday. You need to be spending time with your families, your loved ones. You need to be spending time in gratitude. And I'm so thankful for each and every one of you just for coming in and spending a little bit of time. Thank you, Paul. He said you all would be blessed to have me as a coach. Paul, I appreciate that beyond words, sir. Look, have an amazing weekend. Be safe, be blessed. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. Please don't hoard. I think we'll all get through this thing a little faster if we'll just buy the necessities we need and leave stuff out there for others who need it. Take care, everybody. I'll probably check in with you, I'm sure, over the course of the weekend. I certainly won't interrupt your Easter, though. God bless you all. Be safe, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Bye for now.